To get things started, we'll spend a few minutes with head coach Adrian Autry and then with our student athletes. If you have a question for our coach or student athletes, please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with. And coach, we will have your first question to the right-hand side of the room on the third row.
Hey coach, TJ Wilkerson from the Sports Nerd Podcast. In these days of college basketball, coach, it's hard to keep experience due to the transfer portal and one and done, but you've managed to do that. How have you been able to maintain your players? What are you preaching, and what culture?
You know, I think the one thing about what I think I've done, and you can actually ask these guys, is that we've evaluated really well, and I think all these guys that have come here, we always talk about the process, and I think for us, my staff, we have great relationship building. Not just on the court, but off the court. We coach our guys hard, but we also spend time with them, and I think that's contributed to it. And they believe in what we're doing, and we believe in them. And I think when you have that type of connection, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of build your roster and have that transition and carryover. It was huge for these two guys right here to return for the program, to believe in what we're doing, and being able to step into the roles that they've been thrust into this year. So. I think if you had to ask them, I think they would probably say the same thing as well. The relationship building is a big piece of it.
Coach, question from the podium last year of coaching victories. You had the fifth most coaching victories among first-year head coaches. Do you take time to reflect? Is there a moment of pride in your quiet moments that you think about the job that you are doing?
You do take time to reflect. I think everyone does. And in that time of reflection, I really was just thankful for the group of guys that we had last year, that team last year. Being one of the youngest teams in the country, playing in one of the toughest conferences in the country, and me being a first-year coach. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but that was a lot. It was a lot of first years, and I was very proud of the players and that team for my first year.
Other questions for Coach from the room? Coach, we'll come to the first row, right to your right.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How are you, Coach?
What's going on, Dan?
Not too much. So just what you could say about, there has been turnover with this team, and we're going to see a lot of new faces this season. What you can say about those new faces coming in, be it the transfer portal as well as true freshmen?
I think what I've been able to see from the time that we've got together in July, and I think what people will see is a lot of experience, skill. We've addressed some of the things. Last year these two guys were our top perimeter guys. I think we've had an addition of adding some guys that can also shoot the ball with low post presence. I just think you'll see a rounded out group. The one thing that sticks out with this group right now is just the way they've gelled on and off the court, and you're starting to see that as we get closer to the season of that connection.
Other questions for Coach from the room? We'll go back to TJ on the third row to your right.
Coach, working under Jim Boeheim, what was one piece of advice that really stuck with you before he retired in all your years of working with him?
That's a lot of years working and playing for him. It's a lot of things. I think the one thing that I would say, and I think most of the coaches that have coached under him, the things that they've taken from him is the consistency. The consistency, being able to go in every day, no matter what, good or bad, and being able to push your guys and push your team to keep getting better. And I think that's the one thing I've always taken from him. And nothing was world to world. No matter what the record is, you go out and you prepare for the next game and you prepare for the next week. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken from him.
Coach, let's go back to Dan in the first row to your right.
Coach, two questions, totally different. But year one for you as a head coach, I know you've waited a long time. You and I were sitting at, I think, Borio's restaurant talking about you being a head coach someday years ago. So just what you could say about what you've taken away, wisdom and knowledge in year one, and then separate from that, Chance Westry, we waited a long time to see him, just what you expect from him.
The first question is, what have I taken from the first year? I think the one thing is you get more convicted in your whys, whatever that may be, why I've chose to do this, or why I've recruited this person, or why I've done that. I think, the first year coming away, I've been more convicted in my whys and understanding a little bit more of what I want to do and how I want to do it. And the second question, Chance is, he was getting back into shape, and then I think at the end of the summer, he really started hitting his stride. We expect Chance to be a guy that can come in and play multiple positions. As of right now, Chance has had an illness. We expect him back in a couple of weeks. He's a guy that can play on the ball and off the ball. He gives you versatility. He's a guy that can play 1, 2, and 3 for us. So we're just excited. He's had a really good summer. Now we just little bump in the road, and now we waiting for him to get back. But he'll be back. Nothing serious.
Coach, again from the podium, given the amount of transition with a roster, how long does it take for a team to coalesce, to actually gel? When do you actually know that, okay, now they're all working together in the program that we're looking for?
Still to be determined. What I do see is, I see carryover in the way we practice. I see them trying to make plays for each other, talk to each other. Obviously, we do some stuff off the court, but you really don't know until you get into that ring, until you get into that, when you're down 5 or, when you're up, big, do we lose ourselves? Do we stay together? Do we stay connected? So, that's still to be determined. But I think so far what I've seen with this group of guys and this team is that, they have really gelled together and have a good camaraderie as of right now.
Other questions for Coach from the room? Happy to go back to Dan if we need to in the first row to the right. Dan from Syracuse, just as a caveat.
Coach, you got 2 of your guys here with you that you spent a lot of time with, and JJ and Chris. How do you think they would describe you if you weren't in the room right now? How do you feel like they would describe you?
I don't think we could say that out here. I don't know. I think they would probably say that I push them, I challenge them. I think they say that on the court I'm a push and challenge. Off the court we can talk and have a conversation. And I'm there for them if I can help them any way possible. That's what I would hope they would say. I'm not sure though.
Coach, thank you. You can switch places with Chris. Chris, you can come on up. I'm sure somebody's going to ask you to describe Coach, but we'll see what happens. Chris Bell with us for a few minutes again. Please identify yourselves and the agency that you're with. First question for Chris will come from who? Chris, I'll handle it from here at the podium. Basketball, you have played now from coast to coast. Tell us about the different styles of basketball that you've seen and what you've pulled from those styles that actually have helped your game.
Really, honestly, being from the West Coast in California, describing it from the East Coast, I would just say the East Coast is just, I would say hoopers, and then on the West Coast you have skill. So that's how my trainer put it. So really, that's how I would honestly put it themselves. It's a different style of play on the West Coast than it is on the East Coast. But, I'll give the East Coast some credit. They got some dogs. I had a culture shock when I first got to Syracuse of being the soft Cali kid. But, being here for a little bit has, shown me how some East Coast players play and made me a little stronger myself.
To the right side in the first row, and then we'll bounce to the left side.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Last season, Chris, you and I talked about the mental side of things and how you stay locked in and the energy that you bring to the team. Just what you can say about evolving in that world of the mental side of things, as well as what type of energy you're bringing in to practice, bringing into the game. Just what you can say is how you've evolved from that, essentially.
I think every day, since the start of the new season, just coming in every day being a professional. Coming in ready to work. When I take bad shots or when I make bad plays, is how do you respond to that? I think I've done a really good job of just, playing basketball at the end of the day and just enjoying it. I think I would get too frustrated in the game sometimes or things like that, but also not being an energy consumer. I'm a junior now, so, I got to lead by example, those type of things, but I'm not really a loud leader. I'm very quiet in the things I do, but, I try to show people by example or, talk to them like that, but really just, focusing on what the team needs me to do, whether that needs to be a scorer or facilitate for everybody or just be an energy guy on the bench. So,
Chris, to your left, first row.
Gene Gallen, Chatham Journal. You mentioned West Coast, East Coast. What are 2 of the toughest arenas you've played in and why?
The toughest arenas I played in, is high school or just college in general?
Whatever you want.
college, I want to say my own home gym, De La Salle. High school. And then for college, Virginia Tech is a tough place to play in, definitely. And then I would say our house. The Dome is 30,000 every night. So.
Chris, thank you. You can swap spaces with JJ, and we'll spend some time with Mr. Starling. Folks, again, please identify yourselves, the agency that you are with. That would be a great help. First question to JJ will come from who? JJ, you'll get yours from a guy named TJ, third row, right side.
How you doing, JJ?
Good, how are you?
Good, man. We all know that you're a very versatile scorer, you and Bill up there. Is there any other part of the game that people should really look out for on the court?
Yeah, for sure. With me, like you said, I've been a versatile scorer. That's just been my game since high school. But now I'm really getting more into the playmaking role, facilitating, and then also buying in on the defensive end. I'm really honing in on using my length, my speed, and athleticism. So I just want to buy into that this season.
JJ, right side, first row.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. JJ, for you, as you evolve in the role on this team, just what you can say about how you define your leadership going into this season, being one of those returning faces.
Yeah, it definitely is new, especially with the new guys. But it hasn't been, a hard acclimation for me. They made it easy, whether, I'm leading verbally or just leading by example. Everybody's buying into the same thing because at the end of the day, we want to win. So, yeah, it's a new role for me, but, I'm willing to do it because we all want to win. So.
JJ, from the podium, you're from Syracuse. Just about every game at home is a home game for you. What's that like for you?
Yeah, it's great. Being able to play in front of my family and my friends. I haven't been able to do that since high school, so being able to see my mom and my dad in the stands, whether I'm having a bad game or a good game, they're on me. It's just good to have that because I know I'm seeing familiar faces, and those are the people I'm doing it for. So.
Back to the right side with Dan in the first row.
JJ, with the guys coming in that are going to be helping in the backcourt, just how you would describe some of those new faces and gelling together through the summer, just what that backcourt looks like that's going to be assisting you.
Yeah, as Chris said, they're all dogs. We're making plays for each other, and we all can shoot, we can play make, we can dribble, pass. So it's going to be fun. We really look forward to playing for each other. That's the type of style that Coach Red wants us to play with, and we're playing that naturally right now. So it's going to be a fun season, just being able to make plays for each other and just win.
JJ, a follow-up on the leadership comment. How do you know that your leadership style is taking effect with the rest of your teammates?
I feel like I know because just how we conduct ourselves in practice. Say things aren't going well. Red wants us to pick up the effort. Either myself or another teammate, we huddle up, we talk to each other, and we try to get the energy going. So I feel like that's how we know. As soon as that happens, that's when practice starts picking up. That's when we start buying in defensively. And then everybody, including the managers, just energy level picks up.
Last question. How would you describe your head coach?
On the court or off the court?
I'll leave it to you to decide.
On the court, obviously he's a competitor. He played the game, and he's coached the game for many years. He has a lot of knowledge. So he just pushes all of us to be the best versions of ourselves. And that's what you want in a head coach, whether you want to hear the message or not. So he's going to be on you, from the moment practice begins all the way until you leave the gym. And then off the court, he's a genuine person, down to earth, and somebody that you can talk to, whether it's basketball-related things or just things that's going on outside of basketball.
So, Coach, it wasn't so bad, was it?
I gave him the script.
We rehearsed this.
Syracuse, thank you. Good luck this season.
Appreciate it.